Welcome to today's deep dive. If you are ever at a massive stadium show, an audio dropout isn't just, a minor annoyance. It is a full-blown
Oh,
disaster.
absolutely. A total nightmare.
Right, you're staring at the stage, but the magic actually holding the whole experience together is, well, it's an invisible labyrinth of routing hardware. It keeps the sound pristine across like a dozen different speaker arrays. So today, our mission is to pull a very specific piece of that hidden infrastructure out of the rack. We're looking at the Kramer VM-1610 balanced stereo audio distribution amplifier, and we're using specs and user reviews from the HDTV Supply website to really unpack it.
Yeah, and it's a 19-inch 1U rack mountable workhorse. It really solves that fundamental nightmare of live audio routing, which is how to take one pristine sound source and duplicate it perfectly without, completely wrecking the signal.
Exactly. And to understand the mechanics here, this 6.3-pound unit operates in what they call dual mode. So you can run it as one massive 1 to 10 amplifier, or you can configure it as two completely separate 1 to 5 distribution networks.
Okay, let's unpack this. Is this is it like a main water pipe splitting into 10 smaller hoses, but somehow the water pressure never drops?
Yeah, actually, the water analogy is perfect here. To maintain that audio pressure, so to speak, across all the outputs,
Hmm?
the VM1610 relies on detachable terminal blocks and these grouped audio level controls.
Oh, right, the four front accessible gain trimmers.
Exactly. Those trimmers let the audio engineer manually adjust the signal strength from zero point 0.5 up to 9.5 decibels per group. Plus, the mechanism preventing degradation over those massive stadium cable runs is right in the name, balanced stereo.
Meaning it cancels out interference. Right, yeah. A balanced line actively cancels out interference by sending two copies of the audio signal down the cable, with one of them inverted. When those signals reach their destination, the inverted one is flipped back, so any electrical hum picked up along the way is mathematically canceled out.
But normally, if you copy or split something 10 times, you just get a muddy mess. Wait, looking at the price, this unit runs $584 on HDTV Supply, discounted from $730. Why wouldn't a venue just buy, I don't know, 10 cheap audio splitters online for a fraction of the cost? I mean, they both just divide the sound.
Well, because a cheap splitter degrades the waveform. Every single time you duplicate a signal passively, you introduce noise. What's fascinating here is how the VM1610 relies on microscopic precision to prevent that. It has an audio bandwidth of greater than 100 kilohertz.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and a signal-to-noise ratio of 92 decibels.
Which basically means what in practical terms?
Means when the music stops, the silence is dead quiet. There is no background hiss just waiting to be amplified through massive venue speakers.
Oh, that makes sense. But what happens to the distortion when things get really loud?
Right, so that brings us to total harmonic distortion, or THD. Standard consumer gear distorts heavily at high volumes, which physically changes the shape of the sound wave. But the Kramer unit has a THD of just 0.011%.
So it keeps the audio physically true to the original waveform, regardless of the output.
Exactly. Add in a crosstalk rating of negative 84.5 decibels, and your channels or your two separate 1 to 5 modes, they just never bleed into each other.
But, deploying these 1 to 10 distribution networks is incredibly prone to human error. You can have 0.011% distortion, but if an installer miswires a terminal block, the whole system still fails.
Right, which shifts the point of failure directly from the hardware over to the installation. In high-stakes AV routing, technical support becomes a literal extension of the product's reliability.
Yeah, and that explains the review culture surrounding this specific unit on HDTV Supply. I mean, the vendor has a 25-year history and over 10,000 positive reviews. But customers aren't just leaving automated 5-star ratings, they're actively shouting out specific support reps.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, one buyer praises a rep named Rachel for stepping in to figure out what they actually needed to buy for their complex setup, rather than what they just thought they needed. Another review simply goes out of its way to state, Mike is the best. When the margin for error is 0, having that human safety net is just as critical as the specs.
The hardware ensures the signal stays pure and, well, the human support ensures that hardware is actually deployed correctly.
So the VM1610 is this high-fidelity analog workhorse, proving you don't have to sacrifice audio quality for distribution volume.
It really takes a complex problem and solves it with incredibly elegant engineering.
It does. But it does leave you wondering about the future. I mean, as the professional audio industry moves aggressively toward IP and cloud-based routing, sending sound as data over network switches instead of physical copper cables, you have to ask if dedicated physical analog beasts like the VM-1610 will eventually become a lost art, just something for you to chew on the next time you're standing in front of a massive stage.